Sometimes, guys, it comes down to one single play, and that's what wins or loses your money in Vegas. Brandon, last week we had a game, Cincinnati and Baltimore. 57 seconds to go. Andy Dalton goes in for the keeper, and suddenly everybody out there feeling real good. Baltimore in the under. Forget about it. It's Cincinnati in the over.
I tell you what, there's been quite a few games this year. Let me take you back to Denver's last road game when they went into New York. It was Denver and the over. Everybody bet it like they knew the final score. Geno Smith at his own goal line. If you had the Jets in the under, you're home free. And a pick six by Geno took it from Jets and under to Denver and over. Killed Vegas because that line opened up Denver -7, closed at 9.5, 10. The world was on Denver. The world was on the over. So, Al, again, we're seeing these games where you have a parlay on one side and a late score sends it completely the opposite way.
And then, of course, you have the marquee games. One of the biggest games last Sunday was the showdown out in Glendale, Arizona between the Cardinals and the Eagles. Eagles get the late field goal. They go 20-17. I'm still not sure why Chip Kelly on the 1-yard line with his offense doesn't go for the touchdown to put the game. I understand your tie game. You're on the road. You got to take the points. You don't leave anything on the field. But you're feeling good. You got a strange game where that line, Arizona was a 2.5-point favorite most of the week, dropped to 1.5. Like game time, late afternoon game on a Sunday. You could have gotten the Eagles at -1. It was a strange game. Looked good if you're an Eagles backer. And then Carson Palmer, the blown safety coverage by Nate Allen, the Eagles. What, it was 74-yard touchdown pass to John Brown?
Yeah, give Bruce Arians a lot of credit. One thing Arizona does is they attack. It doesn't matter where they're at on the field. It doesn't matter the situation. They are going to take their shots deep. Andrew Luck's having a monster year, and people think, wow, Andrew Luck's just a great quarterback. Bruce Arians was with Andrew Luck his rookie year. He basically ran that team, Andrew Luck's rookie year, and look at the shots that the Colts taken. He's taken that to Arizona. The one thing you can't do there if you're an Eagles fan and your Eagle coaching staff and you're an Eagles secondary, you can't get beat deep. Yes, Eagles should have won the game. They should have covered the game. The game should have went under the posted total. That's why they call it gambling.
And there are no guarantees in gambling, guys. I've been telling you that for 25 years. And listen, that was just another example how sometimes it's just one play. We often see the big blowouts. We see Pittsburgh demolishing Indianapolis. We see New Orleans demolishing Green Bay. We see the upsets. We see Dallas no-show on Monday night against Washington. But so many times that obscures the fact that often these games turn one single play and make winners into losers, losers into winners. And again, that's why they call it gambling, and that's why you need us. That's the bottom line. Nobody wins every single day in this business. We know it after 25 plus years in this industry. And those that do, well, they've got a bridge in Brooklyn to sell you. I guarantee you that. They're charlatans, they're con men, they're scam artists. If they tell you the sky is blue, make sure you look up twice to confirm it. We've been doing this, as I said, for a quarter century, which means two things. One, we're experienced, and two, we're getting old. I mean, that's the bottom line. I mean, that sucks. Anyway, I am Al Demarco. This is Brandon Lang. We are here with the Countdown to Kickoff show, breaking down some of your top games. We're going to talk about Patriots, Broncos, and how often it's better to stay away from marquee games, as we both know. But first, let's start it off with an interesting game, Miami and San Diego. Chargers were rolling along, 5 straight wins, beating a bunch of nobodies. Then they got taken apart at home by Kansas City. Then they really got taken apart. I had the Broncos against the Chargers a couple of Thursdays ago. Now you've got a Miami team that's on a nice little run here, winning 3 of their last 4.
I'll tell you what, NFL is so much about quarterback play. And if your quarterback plays well, you're probably going to win the football game, especially with games like San Diego and Phillip Rivers. He didn't play well in Denver. 2 big turnovers, 2 monster turnovers, 2 monster INTs. That changed the complexity of that football game. But one thing I've learned about San Diego, one thing I've learned about Phillip Rivers, just when you count this guy out, he turns around and has an unbelievable football game. Does the San Diego have the weapons to go in here and beat this red-hot Miami team? They played great at home against Green Bay. They went on the road and had just a really fantastic effort at Chicago, won the game outright. This team is playing well right now, but something tells me, Al, that Phillip Rivers is going to go in here and they're going to get the job done. I don't know why, because I rode Miami a few weeks ago and they've been good to me, but something tells me Phillip Rivers is going to have a big game.
Well, you know, a couple weeks ago on the show when Kansas City was going into San Diego, we both thought the Chiefs would get the job done, and they did. Did you have anything on the San Diego-Denver game a couple of Thursdays ago?
Yeah, I had San Diego, and it's funny you say it because they have the ball. They're at midfield. The back door's wide open. All you got to do is just keep dinking and dunking. They're going to score. Denver's not going to score them. And as Phil Simms said in the telecast, Phillip Rivers just got impatient, forced the bomb down the right sideline in double coverage and threw the pick, and your backdoor cover was completely gone. That hurt me a little bit. Congratulations on Denver, but I think he turns around here and he goes and he has a pretty good football
Well,
game.
listen, a guy who has 20 touchdown passes versus only 5 interceptions, you can't complain about that type of productivity. On the other side, you got Ryan Tannehill. You know, prior to their game 5 weeks ago when they went to London to take on the Raiders, this was a guy who was questioning whether or not he had the full support of Joe Philbin and the Dolphins. He has played so much better. I do find it a little bit of an ironic situation here that we were just talking about games that change on one play. Last home game for the Dolphins against the Packers. What did Aaron Rodgers do? 3 seconds to go, touchdown pass, lone loss in a 4-game stretch for Miami. But let's face it, they've also in those 3 wins. They've beaten the Raiders. They beat the Jaguars. And they beat the Bears, who have just imploded. They haven't beaten anybody.
No, and if you looked at the Jaguar-Dolphin game last week, it was an inept performance in the first half by Miami. They got absolutely dominated across the board, and we're lucky even to be in that game in the first half, and then, of course, a couple turnovers in the second half. But, you know, speaking of Ryan Tannehill, when your wife is that hot and she forgets she has an Uzi in the car, you got to love a husband and wife combo like that. So they haven't played anybody. My lean would be towards San Diego, but hats off to Ryan Tannehill, the hot wife, and the Uzi in the backseat. Gotta love it.
And see, this is what you get. NFL breakdowns and the important stuff. Ryan Tannehill's wife, which you should Google her. If you haven't seen her, hot is a good word, yes. Not as good as Olivia Munn, perhaps, dating Aaron Rodgers, but hey, we all have our own particular things, okay? But I'm with you. I kind of lean towards San Diego as well in this particular game. I am a little concerned that the Chargers' run defense, giving up the last 3 games almost 4.6 yards a carry to opposing backs, and Lamar Miller has had a very nice season for the Dolphins. But again, I think it's a must-win situation for San Diego, and I think you're right. I think they can get the job done here. Next game, Kansas City and the New York Jets. It's interesting in retrospect, and listen, guys, I never lament the losers or celebrate the wins. To me, it's just another play. And I think guys in this business that do, they get caught up in the past, and often they miss the next money-making opportunity right there in front of them. And I bring this up because last Sunday, there were so many games, and how I got myself on the New York Jets. I don't know what Kool-Aid I was drinking, but trust me, I'm never drinking that Kool-Aid again. Geno, 3 interceptions in the first quarter? I mean, what, 3 possessions, 3 interceptions? Kyle Orton of the Buffalo Bills throws 10 passes, has 4 touchdowns. Bills go in there, minus their top 2 running backs, Fred Jackson and C.J. Spiller, and they roll by like 147 points. I mean, it was a joke. So now Geno is benched. Gee, what a surprise. Jets have lost 6 in a row. Big surprise. Rex, you're fired at the end of the year. Michael Vick's going. And it doesn't matter because anybody that bets the Jets this week, you got to be crazy. Take it from somebody who lost money on them last week.
It's funny. The Jets are such an interesting football team. And the NFL, when Oakland went into New England and played New England really, really tough to a 16-9 game, the whole world says, wow, Oakland must be really good. And everybody jumped on them when they went to London and played Miami and got buried. Okay, get rid of that. On Thursday night, the Jets play New England and probably should have won the game outright. And everybody sees, oh my gosh, the Jets have finally figured it out. And everybody jumps on them. I didn't touch the game. But then I find out later that Al has a big play on the Jets, and they get completely pummeled. Something tells me that the Jets are going to cover this number. Not a game I would touch. You could give me $1 million and say, hey, Langer, go to Vegas. I'll give you a free $1 million play on the Jets. I'd tell you to keep your money. But in this game here, something tells me they're going to go in here and cover the number. They could get blown out. But Al, again, as we're talking about a game, a handicap in a game, this line has moved 2.5 points. It's now up to, as you said, 10. I think there's value there with the Jets. Call me crazy, but I think the Jets cover the number.
I want to take the Jets if we were playing electric football, okay? That's how I really feel about the Jets right now. I just want to make that perfectly clear. But this is a team defensively, you know, which started off strong this season. They've got that big front 7 that really is good at stuff on the run. But again and again and again, their secondary has been exposed. They've given up 27 or more points in 6 of the 7 losses during this current skid. They've given up 27 or more points in 9 of their last 10 road games. You know, Alex Smith, just a surgical precision effort last week against the Rams, 24-28 passes. Against this Jets secondary, I think he's going to be able to shred it, and I think that the Chiefs, although they're only 3-6 against the spread in Andy Reid's tenure as a home favorite after last week's blowout of the Rams, we thought last week perhaps that was a spot that the Chiefs would be a little down after the big road win against the Chargers. They weren't. So I'm willing to take a shot on Kansas City, but I'm kind of like you. You could give me all the money in the world to bet any way involving the Jets, and I wouldn't touch the game. Which leads us to the game this week. Denver and New England. I don't know about you, but I find, and I've always said to people, that the way to make money in this business is to concentrate the most where the odds makers concentrate the least. These marquee games, they always have the sharpest lines, and they're the games at the end, you suddenly look at them and go, damn, how did those odds makers know that game was going to fall right on that number? Always the toughest to win.
Yeah, I was looking at what the line this game should have been, and I knew it was coming up. I've waited for this game all season long, and I really thought that New England was going to come out as a small home favorite, especially with the way they played. So when I saw the line come out, Denver -3.5, I almost drove off the road. Now it's since moved down a half point, so it's settled in at Denver -3, and what a ball game it is. And so New England comes off the complete demolition of the Chicago Bears. And so now what is the public going to do with this game? Vegas basically feels that Denver's the most public wagered team right now, and rightly so. So Vegas thinks they can get away with making Denver the favorite, entice Denver money, and then New England's going to cover the number. Al, I don't know. For me, I'm not going to mess around with the side. Just like the Saints in Green Bay on Thursday night, I really felt that they were going to fly over the posted total, and they got into the 60s. I think this game goes the same way. I don't think either team's going to stop one another. I don't think Denver offensively can be stopped right now by anybody. New England's banged up in the secondary, banged up in their linebacking core. I think we're in for a good old-fashioned shootout. Remember last year, I believe Denver was up 24-0, and then New England came back, and you had a huge game over the posted total. So I think a lot of points are going to be scored, but as far as the side is concerned, I think the number's pretty right where it needs to be.
And I think a lot of people look back at last year's regular season game where you said 24-0, and then the Patriots came back and won it 34-31 in overtime. But you're going to have good weather in Foxborough, and these are not the same teams. And the way I look at this game, because the Broncos, much better defensively, strong pass rush, Von Miller and DeMarcus Ware, the team, 23 sacks. You got one of the top pass rushing units in the NFL. You have a Patriots team that, yeah, they've scored all these points. And who have they played? I mean, the Bills, the Jets, and the Chicago Bears. Big deal. And against the Jets, we saw them on that Thursday night game a couple weeks ago. They were just a field goal away from losing that game that was blocked at the end by the Jets.
Read somewhere that the highest quarterback rating of any quarterback the Patriots have faced in the last 6 weeks has been less than, I believe, 70. And the only quarterback they saw of over 80 or over 90 was Alex Smith. And we saw what happened in that game. They got blown out. So great point there, Al. They haven't played anybody. My lean would be toward Denver minus the points. I don't think you can go against Peyton Manning and this Denver team right now. All I heard on that Thursday night telecast against San Diego was Phil Simms saying how fast this Denver defense looks to us from up here. Better defense. Lay in the small number. My lean would be Denver minus the points, but again, I'm one never to want to root for unders. I'm one that wants to root for overs, so I'll play the over.
Yeah, and I like Denver in this game too if I had to play it. And of course at 3 or even 3.5, I'd go down and buy the half-point insurance on the Broncos. Because I'm looking at this team, and A, they've improved defensively. B, the Patriots, it's funny if you look at the NFL team stats coming into this weekend, you'll see the Patriots, number 2 rushing defense in the league. Whenever I see that, the first thing I do is then I go look at the pass defense. Patriots, one of the worst pass defenses in the league because they don't have a pass rush. I think Manning, with the full complement of healthy receivers, can definitely take advantage here. I can see your point on the over. New England's gone over in 5 in a row in 50 of their last 71 regular season games. 50 out of 71. And the Broncos are on a 49-26 roll going over in regular season play as well. So definitely, I think that the Broncos are more multifaceted on offense, especially with the emergence of Ronnie Hillman, who has really surprised and impressed me since Monty Ball has gone out, which makes, as you always say, you put Peyton in play action, and it's just scary. So I can see your point on the over, and I like Denver in the game. I think you like the Jets. I leaned a little toward Kansas City in a game that if you backed us in the corner with guns at our head, neither one of us would take the wager. And the San Diego-Miami game, we both kind of like the Chargers in this one. So guys, listen, every single day, Brandon and I have our daily video reports here on the site where we break down games, talk about what's going on. Make sure you check it out. It doesn't cost you anything to watch us. And we've been doing it, as I said, for over a quarter century. And you don't make it for 25 months, let alone 25 weeks or 25 years in this business unless you occasionally win people people money and yourselves money. So that'll do it for this edition of Countdown to Kickoff. For Brandon Lang, Al Demarco, we'll catch you again next week.